Welcome to today's webinar about ClubExpress document libraries. I'll do a little introduction to the topic and then a demonstration, and we can open it up for questions and answers. But first, let's do a little housekeeping. The phones are muted, and what we prefer is that you ask questions into the chat window, and Victor, who is on our support staff, will try to answer them. And if it's something that it makes sense for me to stop what I'm doing and address the question, well, then we'll do that. A recording of this webinar will be available. And let me share my desktop with you, and I'll show you how this works. If you go to clubexpress.com, there's a resources page. And on the resources page, there are some tabs, blogs, and I've been writing a blog here. And there's one for video tutorials, which has videos that mostly I've been working on about surveys and polls and additional member data and all that. And there's a webinars tab, which gives you the webinar schedule of recent webinars and upcoming webinars. And at the bottom is recorded webinars for those of you that want to go back and see some of these recent webinars. You can go and view them here. Now, we've only recently started doing webinars. I joined ClubExpress back in July, and one of my jobs is to update videos and help screens and do these webinars. And some of the webinars are about functions in ClubExpress, like the survey function or the blogging function or the documents library. And some of them will be functional, whether it be an overview of ClubExpress for those people that are new to it or considering ClubExpress, or perhaps something like, well, we're getting ready to do a particular kind of event, say a picnic or a fly-in for a balloon club. Well, how would I use ClubExpress features and functions to help facilitate that event? Whether it be, well, we need to have some custom web pages, we need to have events, we need to find out what kind of events that they want and maybe use the survey module, or ask them what kind of food they want at the event and things like that. And how do we do email blasts? So some of these webinars, upcoming webinars, will be about how to use ClubExpress in a more holistic form. And the training videos are available on that page. They're also available on your control panel. So if you're an admin for your club, if you go to the control panel, the support tab has a list of those same training videos. We're not listing the webinars, but we are listing the training videos. So let's talk a little bit about document libraries. ClubExpress allows you to create a library of documents. Now, these documents are organized into folders and subfolders, much like you would have on your hard disk. And documents can be searched either by title or by content or by tag. The visibility of each folder can be controlled. So the folder might be available to members or to the public or only to administrators. And similarly, you have the ability for your members to upload documents. And that can be controlled because you can say that members are allowed to upload documents, but these documents have to be approved by an administrator or by a coordinator before they actually show up. So the member uploads can require approval. And there are various options for folders that include allowing for ratings or comments and things like that on documents. Let's go into a demonstration. And these are the things that I'd like to demonstrate, and we'll see how many of them we get through. So we're going to try to view existing documents, rate and comment on a document, search. We'll do a member upload. So we'll do that sort of from the user side. And then from the admin side, I'll show you how to edit and configure folders, create a folder, and upload multiple documents. Now, some of these things are fairly new to ClubExpress. So if you've been a ClubExpress user for many years, maybe something like upload multiple documents, maybe something that you didn't notice they kind of snuck in a couple of releases back. And how to delete documents, and we'll talk about visibility, permissions and approvals, tag management, and reports. And then we'll have Q&A. So let's see if I can bring this thing up properly. So I'm going to log in as a user. And And if I log in as her, she is a coordinator for some things. So she's got a control panel here, and we can see that if we go into the website tab, she's a coordinator for photos. So that's the reason why she's got a control panel. But if we go over here and we look at the members menu choice here, there's a choice for documents. So let's look at the folder. I'm just going to make everything a little bit bigger here, make it a little nicer to see. So this is the documents section. And you can see from the breadcrumbs here, we've got home and documents. And you can, I'll just go through the UI just a little bit. You can get rid of the sidebar if need be. You can expand all and collapse all. And if you click on any folder here that has a little folder icon next to it, that means that it's got subfolders, you see? And you can collapse all of them. You can expand all of them. And when you click on a folder, it'll tell you whether or not there are documents in it. So this one here, this top level folder here, that doesn't have any documents in it, but its subfolders do. So for each one of these, as I click through them, you can see the documents that are in them. If I click on the club policies, there's a whole bunch of documents in here. And if I click on, say, and this is our demo club, the Northwest Balloon Club. It doesn't actually, the club doesn't exist. It's just our demo platform. And if I click on this, we get a bunch of information about it. We get the title, the name of the folder it's in, the description that was entered when it was uploaded. Whoever uploaded this didn't put in an author, the create date, its format, its file size, and we're allowed to rate it. So in this particular case, if I decide that I really want to change the rating on this, I can change the rating, and it will affect the overall rating. So this is my rating on the left side and overall rating on the right side. And I can add here, I can say the new policy is to be voted upon. And when I submit that content, it goes into the member content so everybody else can see those comments. Now, to download the document, to actually view the document, it really depends on what kind of document it is. Since this is a PDF, if I either click on the download link here or on the download link here, if it's a PDF, it will actually open in another tab or another window and show the document. But if it's a Word document or a PowerPoint deck or whatever, what that's going to do is going to download it into your, wherever your browser downloads content. So usually a download folder. There are no viewers for things like Excel or PowerPoint or whatever. It's pretty much, as far as I know, just the PDFs that will open in another window. If I click on the download here, then it's up to you, while viewing the PDF, to go save it. And you can save your PDF down to your computer. The one other thing, let's assume that I want to upload a new document to this folder. I would click on the upload link. Now, by the way, not all documents have, not all folders are allowing member uploads. Let's see if I can find one that doesn't have it. Okay, say this one here. We're not allowing uploads into it. So if I come over here and I say I want to do an upload, I'm going to select the document first. And let's assume that I'm just going to pull a document, any document. And I say, this is new club policy proposal. And you can add tags. And in this case, I'm going to pull from a list of predefined tags, and we'll get to how you do that in a little bit. So we'll just say that this is tagged about balloon, and we'll go Mark Twain and pick a create date on this. And so these are just informational. And when I save this, it uploads the document and it says the document has been uploaded and it'll be visible when it's been reviewed and approved by an admin. And the reason for this is that the folder, when it was created, said, yes, members are allowed to upload, but these uploads have to be approved. One thing you can also do is you can search. So if I search for the word balloons, I can search for the word balloons alone, and I can optionally put in tags or pick from a list of tags. I can select any format, or if I know that I'm looking for PDFs about balloons, we can choose that. And typically I'll search for any folder, but if I wanted to, I could search for any specific folder and its subfolders. So let's just search any folder. And it says that there are these 4 documents that have balloons in the title, in the description, or in the tags. Now, if I wanted to use, say, the word pilot, if I use pilot, you'll see there's only 1. If I use the word club, there's a few. But now if I say, okay, now I'm really looking for, let's see, I only want PDFs. Now we can limit the list. And once again, if we click on it, we get the document information. Now I'm going to jump over to another browser, and I'm going to log in as an administrator. Martin Smith is the administrator. And there's 2 ways to get to the document administration. One is we can go to the control panel, and we can go to the website tab and click on documents, either edit the documents here or here. Or if we're looking at the documents section as a user, we can use the Page Tools widget. Now, some of you know the Page Tools widget is a little floating widget that floats on the right side of the page. And it's got a couple of tools on it. Recently, we added another way of displaying the Page Tools widget as a slide out on the right side here. I'm using this slide out. In fact, I did a video fairly recently on how to enable the slide out if you want to do that. I can come over here and choose Edit. So we're in the Document Manager. So this is the admin view of that same folder tree. And you'll see above this government issued folder is a top level folder. And the top level folder never gets documents. It is simply a container for these other folders. If we look at say the Club Policies folder, when you click on a folder, you have a couple of choices, and the choices depend on the state of the folder. So in this case, I can either view the documents that are in this folder, I can edit the folder itself, or I can add a subfolder. If a folder has no documents in it, an additional choice comes in to be able to delete the folder. So you can't delete a folder if it's got documents in it. You have to go view the documents. If you want to delete the folder and its documents, you either have to go to that folder, view the documents, and either delete the documents or edit those documents and move them to another folder. And once the folder is empty, then this delete folder would show up. Let's take a look at an existing folder. So we'll edit this folder. And so this folder's name is Club Policies and has a description. And it's a subfolder of the top level folder. So if I decided that this really needs to be a folder of another folder, I can move the folder and everything in it to a new parent folder. Now, visibility has a couple of different choices. You can make a folder so that it's available to all users, members and non-members. Now, this assumes, of course, that you've made your documents available somehow to your non-members, meaning you put it on a menu someplace on a public menu. Otherwise, they're not going to know how to get to it. You can say, okay, all users, but only members can download the documents. So that means that the public would be able to see it, see a document, but you're not allowed to download it until you join. We can be members only or members of a particular committee. So if we say it's a members of a particular committee, we can say, oh, okay, now we need to select the committee. So maybe it's the event committee or the safety committee. And that way, only those people that are members of that committee would be able to see it. So if I say the board of directors, this interacts dynamically with the member management. So it is whoever is on the current board of directors committee. It looks at the committee, see who's on it, and gives only those people permissions. So people that used to be on the committee, no longer on the committee, can't see the contents of this folder. So it's very nice in that way. You can have ClubExpress automatically handle the permissioning for you. If it's a member of a subgroup, then you get to select the subgroup. And some of the people that are on this this call here today, in this session, have their organization broken up into subgroups. So in this case, it might be that we only want it to be for the Chicago Metro or the Detroit subgroup. But in this case, I'm just going to bring it back to members only. Now, you'll remember that before, when Barbara uploaded her document, it says, we've got your document and it needs approval. It could be either allowed unrestricted, means whoever is allowed, if you're a member, you're allowed to upload it and it goes directly into the document folder, or allowed with administrator approval, or members can't upload, only the admins and the coordinators can upload. And then we have a couple of these other settings. Yeah, question?
Yeah, I actually just wanted to bring something up with that the member uploads. So allowed with approval also means that anyone who is an administrator or coordinator of this function will receive notification for that. So be aware of that, that if you do have that set, that anybody who has coordinator access to the documents library will receive notification that there is a document awaiting approval.
So you're talking about an email notification, correct?
That is correct.
All right, because I want to show in a moment how we set up coordinators for this. So, and thank you for the little addition here, which is why I want this to be interactive. So for the settings, we can decide whether or not this folder is actually visible on the website at all, and whether or not we allow member ratings and whether or not we allow member comments. So I'm going to cancel this. And if we come back up here to the control panel, if we look at documents, over here is the link for the coordinators. So in addition to administrators who can see everything, you can have coordinators. And the coordinators, in effect, have admin access to the document library. And these are the ones that, as Victor said, are going to be notified. And these are the people that can edit documents, delete documents, approve documents, and all of that. And also where they're responsible for. So if we add a coordinator, we could search for, let's see, if I go to Jones and I search, and I go Jim and Barbara here. And I do that, and then I would select a group, and I could add her. So let's see. So let's just go back to documents, and I'll go back into the admin interface. And so if we go to look at the documents in the club policies, and I view the documents, because what we did before was edit the folder. Now we're going to view the documents in here. And you'll see that we have this list of documents. And we have the document titles. We have when they were created. We have the visibility. And you'll see that this visibility of the one that we tried uploading before, the new club policy proposal, is pending. And we'll get to how we approve that in a moment. And you see the ratings and how many times it's been downloaded and its format. And we've got this maintain column where you can actually go in and edit the document. Now, you're not editing the content of the document, but you're editing the information about the document, the title and all that stuff. So if Barbara mistyped something, we would just want to change the capitalization and change any of this information. If I now save it, the title's been changed. We can view the document so that we see what this document's going to be about. We can copy the URL to the document, so that way you can use it in other web pages. We can delete it, and we can also look at the comments. So if we come over here and look at the comments on this club policies, we see that same list of comments. And so from an administrative standpoint, this is a quick way of looking at the comments. And if you decide that you need to edit a comment, whether it be inappropriate or someone just spelled something wrong, or you need to delete it, you can do that. You can sort it by oldest or newest. Now, if we go back and we can add a document here, much the same as clicking on the upload icon in the document library itself. But we're going to do something more interesting in a moment. And you can also change the display sequence. Typically, new items show up on the top, but if you decide that you really need to have a particular one all the way at the top, you can just go to the sequence changer, click on something, move it up or down, or click on alphabetical order, and now the club policies is up at the top. But if I go back to the document manager instead of for that particular folder, I can come over here and click on approvals. And if I click on approvals, we say that there is one that has been uploaded, who it's uploaded by, its format and such. And what I can do is I can check this, and if there's a bunch of them here, I could just check the column header, and I can approve the checked items. So now her document has been approved and is part of the document library. So this is kind of a nice way of doing it. In some clubs, in fact, in a theater club that I belong to, community theater, what we did is instead of allowing particular documents to go into a whole bunch of different folders, what we did is we created a folder called member uploads. And so that is the place where the people will do their uploads to. And then the administrators of the site then decide what is the appropriate place to move the document to after it's been approved. So that was just a little different approach, to have one folder for all things that people are going to try to upload. Because in this particular organization, the admins are the ones that are doing most of the uploads, and they didn't want to have the members be able to upload into all these different folders. They just wanted one place the members could upload to, and then they'll decide where to move it around to. That's documents for approval are handled over there. And let's create a folder. So if I come over here, say to government issued, and if I say add a subfolder, so now we're going to give the subfolder a name. So we'll call this alerts. And it assumes that we want to do it on the current folder. And let's do this. Let's make this public. And members are uploaded with approval. And this is fine. So now if I go into alerts, there are no documents. If I view documents, what I want to do as an administrator is I want to add multiple documents. I've got a bunch of alerts that we want to put in here. So I'm going to select documents. And in this case, I'm going to use the control key to just tag a couple of documents. I'm just going to tag 3 documents. They all get uploaded. That's a That's a pretty gutsy document. And then I'm just going to name them alert 1, 2, and 3. And let's just call this is also an advisory. Let's also call this an alert. And I'll say these were created a couple of days ago. And the visibility is going to be all users public. And if I save this, they all get incorporated into the current folder. And you'll notice that the visibility is already here. There is no approval process because this is an administrative function. So I'm the admin. I'd be the one that would be approving it to begin with. So the fact that I'm adding multiple documents means that they're approved. So if I go back to the documents link here, and we see go over to alert, all the alerts are here. Now, if I go back to that other user, and this is Jim and Barbara Jones, if I go to documents here, alerts is now showing up on her screen also because I said this was public facing. And if I log out, well, let's see, if I come over here and just copy this, because I don't remember if documents are available on the menu. So if I just see if I go directly back to the document folder, now this person who is not logged in, you'll see that we're not logged in here. This person can see the alerts where they can't see some of the other stuff that's club specific. So now if I go back into edit mode, let's look at a couple of things. We've looked at approvals. We've done a search that brings up the same search from the admin side as we had before. We can manage tags. And so we can search for a particular tag, but let's just show all the tags that are here. And we can add a master tag. And these are all master tags here. So are the advisory, balloons, equipment. And it shows how many documents are using that tag, how many news articles, how many photos are using that tag. And you can edit these things. But if you need to add a master tag, say this is an alert, in here we're only allowed to use, only set up master tags. If I set up master tags here, now alert becomes a master tag that can be selected. Now, let's see, let's go back here and let's look at a couple of options for all folders. These are options when you create a new folder. So what are the folder defaults? Do we want all folders to be visible publicly or any one of these other choices? What's the default for member uploads? And these other things that we saw before when creating or editing a folder. And then we also get to decide whether or not to allow folders within subgroups and whether to allow custom tags on documents, meaning the whoever's uploading it can add their own tags in addition to the predefined master tags. And there are a couple of reports. So let's take a look at the two reports. The first report is the folder hierarchy. So you click on folder hierarchy, choose next. You decide at what starting point, what's the root of the folder hierarchy. In this case, we'll say all folders. And choose next and decide what the output should be. In this case, I'm just going to put it out to a PDF file. And so what this does is it gives you a report of the tree. So we have government issued, and it's got the subfolders underneath it. And for each folder, it shows how many documents there are. So this is a tree at a glance. But if you needed to know a particular folder, and we go into reports, you can look at a report for a particular folder. So we say document by folder. Now we have to select a folder. So I'll choose club policies. And here, when I choose next and run the report, we get a list of all of the documents that are in that folder, what the format is, who created it, and what the authors, who authored them, if that's available. And I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to demonstrate. So you've been monitoring the chat. Have there been any questions in the chat?
Yes, there have been. So a few questions that have come up. People would like to know if there is a search for text within the documents within that search feature. And unfortunately, at this time, there is not. There's only the ability to search for words within the title or the tags, as was
And
shown before.
I think and also the author.
And the author. That's correct, right?
Right. So it's not doing a full text indexing. So if you've got words within your PDF or within your document, it's not drilling down into that.
Also, the size of the document. So you can have unlimited amount of documents, but I do believe that the current size limit for a single document is 80 megabytes. I think it's actually listed when you go to upload a single document. It will tell you what the size limit is for a single document.
I believe you're right on that. And in this case, the maximum size is 100. Megabytes. I think it used to be 80, and it's now 100.
And then also, so document syncing. So there was questions on whether you could sync a document to something on your desktop. That's currently not possible. You'd actually have to upload the document to the folder. You can overwrite a document that exists, but it won't.
In fact, let me show that. For example, if I come over here, let me go and edit this, and because I didn't show that earlier, let's view documents here. Say we have an existing document. Let's do proposed club policies. If I go edit that, one of the things that you can do, it's got the list of the file name here. What you can do here is if you click on this checkbox next to update, it lets you select a new document, and it allows you to either preserve the original file name or use the new file name. You can update a document. So say you had a spreadsheet that you just needed to update it rather than delete the document, make a new document. Maybe it's a committee list or something that you need, or people that are registered for a particular event. You don't have to delete and add it again. You can simply update the document and insert the new content. Back to you, Victor.
Yep. There was also a question about copying a single document to multiple folders. That is actually not an option at this time either. You can, if you want to create or upload a single document to multiple folders, you would need to go into each folder individually and upload that document, but you can't have it in multiple folders. And then a few of the other questions in the chat right now. Is there a unified list showing which members have either administrator or coordinator access? There is not a list that does that. You would actually need to go into your club tab or association tab, and under admin, go to administrators, coordinators.
Well, let me do this. So go to here, into the club tab.
Go to administrators, coordinators. And this will show you the list of who has administrative rights or coordinator rights. And then to see what rights each coordinator has, you would need to go into the functions toolbox there. You could see by function as well if you'd like.
So it's toggles between viewing this by function or viewing this by member.
You click on view by member. Yeah,
right.
You click on view by member.
That's where we just
and then click on the go down and click on the red toolbox by a person's name.
All right. Let me see if I can find Jim and Barbara Jones here.
That will show you what access they have.
Right. And from this, I'm assuming we can just start checking off stuff. So if you have a new member, right now you see that she had coordinator access to the photos library. So if this is a way of saying, okay, we just have this new person that's come in, maybe they're an office admin for the club. We don't want them to have full administrative rights, but we want him or her to be able to do these things. And that way they will have the edit rights to do these things and also be able to get to the control panel and such. So this is a quick way for a particular person to be able to assign them whatever rights they need. That's a good question. I've never touched this area before, so this is kind of cool.
Also, so other questions here. Is there a way to globally change tags on documents and photos? Say I want to change the alert tag on all documents that contain that tag to warning tag. And you can actually do that within the master tags that were shown earlier.
Yeah, so that's on, where's master tags?
Website.
It's the website, yeah.
Tags.
Go to tags, search.
Yeah,
So here would just be editing the name of the tag.
correct.
So if I want to change it from alert to alerts. And so that's,
That
you know,
changes the
each
tag
tag
role.
behind the scenes has an ID. So this is just the way it's being displayed.
Other question is, does the website admin get a notification when a document is added or when an event is added to the club calendar? The calendar is slightly different, but as far as documents go, if an admin is adding documents to the document library, other admins don't get a notification for that. But if you have it set to for members to upload a document and it is allowed with approval, then anybody who's an administrator or coordinator will receive that notification. And I should say administrator or coordinator for that, for the document library, they will get a notification, but only for member uploads.
Right. One thing I want to take a look at here, if you don't mind, is I want to go back into documents for a moment and just check on something. If we look at a particular document, I just want to take a look at something here. So in addition to the rights on a folder, say the folder is available to everybody, you could make this particular document available for members only. In some cases, people are allowed to see a place, but not be able to see what's in that place. So on a document by document basis, you can override the information override the folder information. So it takes priority over the folder information. So it could be a public facing folder, but I want this to be members only, or since I'm an administrator, I want to put this back into pending approval, or I want to show this document only to administrators. So that's something I hadn't mentioned before.
Right, but it's important to mention that if a folder is admin only, even if the document is public, because the folder is admin only, the document will also be admin only.
Good to note.
As far as that visibility as well, if you hit that drop down, please. For all users members only download, what will happen is that all users will be able to see that the document exists, but they will not be able to open the document. That was one of the questions that was listed. Members will only be able to see that document. I should say the contents of that document.
Yeah. So what will happen is the users, if I'm not mistaken, Victor, they'll be able to see the document title and the metadata and things like that, the description, but there'll be no download link.
That's correct. And they will need to log in, so we'll prompt them to log in if they are not logged in. There was a question, is there a way to cut and paste a list of tags from one document to another without entering them all individually? That's actually a good question. You can try copy advisory alert here.
But that's just copying the document URL.
No. The list of tags. So if you go back into the edit.
Let's go back to this one here.
See if you can copy all the tags there.
No, we don't have a concept of a tag set, and we don't have a way to copy the metadata from one document to another.
There was another question here. How do we test what a member or website viewer can see? Notice that you were not logged in and tested the function. Do you set up a dummy sign-on for seeing what a member sees? So several organizations do this differently. Some will actually set up a test member that does not have any admin rights in order to see what the member sees. There are certain screens that, even though you're a member as an admin, that you will see more information than the member sees. But this is actually one of those practices that, again, like several other organizations do this, where they will create just a test member called a test, and they will go through just to see what a member without admin rights will see. And then you can go ahead and delete that test member once you're done with it. Can hyperlinks in a PDF be active when opened in the ClubExpress website? So PDFs don't actually open up within ClubExpress. They actually open up on your browser. So dependent on your browser itself. So if you view any one of these PDF files, you notice it's opening up in Chrome on his browser. If there were links here, dependent on the browser itself or the PDF viewer, those links should work within that, within there. But again, it's dependent upon the viewer or the browser that you're using. It's not actually opening up within ClubExpress. And then that's another thing to come up with is these may not always open up within the browser. It's all dependent upon your browser settings. If your browser is not set to open up that PDF within the browser, it may download that file. So for example, that or that PowerPoint presentation that's there.
Yeah,
go
let
back
me come back over here. If I come to Club Policies and I download this, it should show up at the bottom of my screen here. You see, it's going into my download folder because there is no default viewer for that. I think it may only be PDFs that just jump over by default to a new tab, but I think pretty much everything else will just download.
And again, it does depend on the browser too, because there are some browsers, or some people may have downloaded some viewers for their browser that allows them to automatically open up that file within the browser. And then some browsers don't have the download pop up at the bottom. Some browsers will actually just download the file, and you'll need to go to your download folder in order to view that file.
Right. And one thing that I didn't mention before is that on this page, when somebody is looking at the documents library, there are some viewers available for Zips, for Acrobat. And so I suppose if you have these viewers installed, then they might actually open up in the viewer. Or at least when you download something and you say, okay, I've got this, I don't have Microsoft Office on my machine, but someone's handing me an Excel spreadsheet. Well, how am I going to view it? Well, you can download these readers here, and that way when you click on the file on your Windows Explorer or on your Mac, it would actually open the file for you. So these are just some common viewers.
And I believe those point to the most recent versions of those files directly from that brand. So in the case of Microsoft, it goes directly to the Microsoft page that has all the updated file viewers for that. Let's see, other questions here. Is there a way to create the URL to reflect our club URL rather than ClubExpress's URL? You can actually create a link on a custom page or homepage for that, but there's not a way within the documents to create a URL for that.
So we have a way of creating aliases, and you want to just walk them through that?
Yeah. So if you go to the club tab, under the website tab, scroll down under setup, you'll see domain names, quick links. And this is where you can create a quick link to a module, but that's only to the module itself. So if you wanted to do it to the document library, you can add a quick link. And let's name it documents. You can select built-in module.
And so you just put in the.
So now if our URL was actually just democlub.com, we can go to democlub.com/godocs, and it would go to the document library, but not to each specific document. It'll just go to the main module. Moving on, if you preserve file name, can the old version be archived? I'm assuming you mean the old version of the document. If that's the case, no, once it overwrites, it overwrites.
Yeah, there is no versioning in the system. There's one and only one copy of every document.
Reports on coordinators, who can do what. Again, as we showed, the only way to see who has what function is to actually go into each person's toolbox listing, and it will show what function each person has. There's not a report for that right now.
But we'll take that as a wish list item.
Mm-hmm. Recommended way for a committee of people to collaborate on a single document. Each may want to do an edit without necessarily deleting the original, and looking for a suggested best practice here. Unfortunately, at this time, there's not a way to do that, again, without overwriting the original document.
Yeah, you see, this isn't a full content management system where you've got check-out, check-in type of mechanism where someone can check out a document, which locks the document until they check it back in. This is a simpler, a little more user-friendly version that works well for most clubs, but it's not a full content management with policies and all of those things that go along with a full-fledged content management system.
Roger would like to know, is there any report for all docs uploaded since a date? There is currently not at this time, but we can definitely add that to the wish list. Hillary would like to know, is there a way to have all the subfolders expanded as the default?
What happens when you're in the documents, what it does is by default, when you come in, it'll be like this the first time you do it. But if you come back the next time, it seems to remember your settings. So I don't think there's a way of specifying it by default. Some of these may be very, very long, and people really say, I really want to see this or these, but leave these collapsed. I don't think there's a way to specify that, but it's such a simple matter to click on the plus if you want it or click on the minus if you don't want it. And it's really not particularly oppressive for the user to decide whether or not they want it. But I understand the wish list.
So in addition to the versioning, the question is, if you save with a new name, I want to save old name version in an archive, and do I have to manually move it to an archive folder? Yes, you would need to basically specify that that document is now in a different folder, and then you can upload the new document into the current folder. Somebody suggested using Google Docs for that, for versioning.
Yeah, note that the document now is a new URL because you've actually added a new document. You might want to download the content, upload that as a new thing into the archive, and then just update the actual binary in your original document container. So that way the original document's URL wouldn't change.
And that seems to be the end of the questions.
Anybody have anything that they would like to ask via voice?
Yes, I'd like to know if it's possible to do a wiki somehow through ClubExpress.
A wiki meaning content where multiple people can update the single piece of content, or are you just looking for a blog functionality?
The first thing you said.
No, I don't believe you can do that unless you decided to create like a custom web page and give several named people access to edit that web page.
So I have a group with 800 members. If I want to create a web page and make all of my members coordinators of that particular page, is there a way to do it without adding each member individually?
I don't know. Victor?
Okay, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
The question is, if you create a custom web page, is there a way of giving a whole bunch of people access to edit that web page?
Without giving them coordinator rights, there's not. You would need to add them either as administrators or coordinators of that.
Right, but the question is, if you've got 800 members, is there a quick way of adding 800 members?
There is not at this time.
Okay. A really great question. Wiki functionality could be a very useful thing, but it's not in the current implementation. But again, we note the question and put it on the wish list.
Thank you.
How can you move a document from one folder to another?
Okay, that one I know how to do. So if I come over here to edit, let's assume we view the documents in a folder. The way you move it, let's say we have the new club policy proposal. If we come over here to edit it, it says, while it's in the club policies, what you do is you then just select the new folder and save it, and it moves it to that folder.
Okay. So you open you would open the document you want to move.
Yes, the parent folder of a document is simply a property of the document, much like its title or description. So, and that's in effect the thing that you want to edit is you go in and edit the document and say, oh, I've got a new parent now.
Okay.
Other questions?
Alan?
Yeah?
Actually, there was one last question here. They wanted to know how to do multiple tags one more time.
At multiple tags, or I'm not quite sure of the question.
How to add multiple tags to a document.
Oh, okay. So if we go into let's edit a particular document, what you would do is you can either pull down the list of master tags, or if the folder permits it, you type in your custom tag, you press in the word, press enter. Oop, let me get rid of that one because I hit too many. So go this, that. All right, so we're limit to 5 tags. So let's get rid of these, this, that. And so now we have this, that, the other. It's much the same as if you were going into YouTube and entering tags. You type in the tag, you press enter. You type in the tag, you press enter. And then you can lop them out if you need to. Any other questions? Well, in that case, we'll wrap it up. I thank you all for coming along and hope to see you at the next webinar.